So this TikToker is facing life in prison after asking an influencer to cover her case of her murdered parents to help get justice. But then a couple weeks later, she was arrested for it. So it all starts in Carrollton, Georgia, a small town 45 miles west of Atlanta, where tragedy struck on February 20th, 2025. James Brock, 45, and Kristin Brock, 41, were shot dead in their bed. And if you thought that was bad, their 5-year-old daughter made the horrific discovery. It was Sara Grace Patrick, their 16-year-old daughter, who called 911, her voice trembling as she reported the deaths. Just 24 hours earlier, James had posted a touching photo on Facebook with the caption, quote, "When I'm down and don't feel good, I find comfort in this little girl," end quote. And tragically, that little girl was the one who found her parents' bodies the next day. It turns out that was his last Facebook post ever, and he was murdered within hours of that heartfelt post. The Carroll County Sheriff's Office launched a massive investigation spanning nearly 5 months and involving thousands of hours from local and federal law enforcement. No gun was ever found at the scene, and while there was no forced entry, a door was left ajar, suggesting the killer knew the home very well. The grandfather, desperate for answers, offered a $5,000 reward. The fact that gunshots rang out in the house, yet it was the 5-year-old who had to alert Sara Grace, the teenager, about the gunshots, raised suspicions. I mean, why didn't Sara, who lived in the home at the time, hear the shots herself? This unsettling detail, amongst several others, became a focal point for investigators. On July 8th, 2025, the case took a shocking turn. Sara Grace Patrick, now 17, turned herself in, and she was driven to the station by her biological father after being notified of arrest warrants. She faces 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault and will be charged as an adult. Investigators have found a mountain of evidence, including Sara's own behavior at her parents' funeral. So her tearful speech at the service, meant to honor James and Kristin, was flagged by investigators as suspicious.
Although there's nothing we can do to bring them back, we still have control over how we treat people.
So they haven't revealed what specifically raised the red flags, but it sounds to me like it's possible that she's kind of fake crying here. You'll see that more in a bit. On TikTok, under the handle sgrace04282, which is now deleted, she presented herself as a grieving daughter, a victim of senseless violence. Just weeks after allegedly killing her mom and stepdad, she posted a tribute video with the caption, quote, "They don't know it, but a year from now, me and my 5-year-old sister would find them wrongfully shot dead in our home and won't get to watch me graduate high school, see me walk down the aisle. I couldn't even say goodbye," end quote. Apparently, she wasn't a fan of commas because that was very hard to read. On March 18th, less than a month after the murders, she shared a video of herself crying, captioned, "Please send prayers for healing and a break from everything. I'm so tired, I should probably delete later." On Mother's Day in May, she posted a photo of her biological mom, Kristin, writing, "But my ultimate inspiration comes from my best friend." Other posts included images with texts like, "What do you mean I can't call my mom?" and "Why me?" painting a picture of grief that now seems chilling in light of her charges and also extremely manipulative. Despite the weight of the investigation, Sara continued living her best life. Just a week before her arrest, she posted a video from a beach appearing carefree, as if tragedy and accusations didn't faze her. More bizarre reports suggest Sara reached out to a TikToker named AllegedlyReportedly, asking her to cover the case of her murdered parents to help get justice or bring attention to it. And she was even active in the comments, answering questions from viewers.
Why would you ask me to cover a case where you are going to get arrested for taking your parents' lives? Y'all, this is Sara Grace, and she messaged me back on June 3rd and just said, search up Brock case. So I said, Brock Turner? Brock who? She said, Kristin and James Brock. Hold on. They're my parents, and out of nowhere, a random Thursday night in February, someone came in my house with me and my 5-year-old sister, and my parents left them for me and my little sister to wake up to. Technically, it was a Wednesday night because I found them Thursday morning, and I said, not knowing she was going to wind up arrested for this, I am so sorry. I cannot imagine. I will absolutely research and cover their case. Please take care of you always. Again, not knowing, and I covered it. 17-year-old daughter arrested for parents in Carroll County. On Tuesday afternoon, Carroll County Sheriff's Office announced that they have arrested 17-year-old Sara Grace Patrick. She is facing 2 murder charges and 2 aggravated assault charges. The girl that asked me to cover the case has been arrested. So not only did this teenager ask me to cover a case that she would wind up being arrested in, but her comments on that video that I made that she requested are so disturbing to look at now. Sara Grace has now been arrested and charged with taking her mother and stepfather's life. She requested that I make a video about it, and then she commented, "Thank you for spreading awareness." She also replied to this person who asked what was used in this crime, and she answered. This person commented and said, from an investigative standpoint, it would seem that it was someone who knew them, hoping for answers and swift justice. Sara Grace, the daughter and stepdaughter of these victims who has now been arrested, said most definitely was, since they knew the house.
The investigation remains active, and pretty much cops are hinting at possible additional arrests. So I'm wondering if this is like a Gypsy Rose Blanchard situation, because the missing gun and the ajar door continue to fuel questions. So did Sara act alone? What drove her to this point? Well, retired crime scene investigator Alina Burrows weighs in.
It's anybody's guess at this point, and I wouldn't want to advance any theories that appear to be victim blaming. In the past, I have seen cases like this where anger is directed at parents for, obviously nobody deserves to be murdered, but there can be some mitigating circumstances. Is there some sort of abuse going on? So not in this case in particular, but in past cases that I've worked, similarly, there has been abuse from a potential like a stepfather or father figure, and then mom who is either aware of it and doesn't do something to remedy the situation, or is perceived to not do anything, also becomes a target. We've seen that. I don't know if that's going to come into play in this case. It can also be mental illness where there's some perceived wrong. They could have told her that she couldn't date a particular boy, and she could have been angry about that. We don't really know. So
people are speculating because the parents have a dark past involving substance issues. So people are wondering if, that played into their murders, and maybe Sara was facing some sort of toxic situation at home. But it also was revealed that the stepfather was on a waiting list for a heart transplant, so he can't really partake in substance use. So people are kind of on the fence still, and we're just gonna have to wait for answers about what really went down here. As the legal process unfolds, the focus remains on the Brock children, especially the youngest, whose life was forever changed that February morning. If you have any information, contact the Carroll County Sheriff's Office at 770-830-5916. And don't forget to subscribe by hitting my face right here, and leave a comment and a like if you like this video, because I read all your comments. Thank you guys. Have a good morning. Bye.